The Walt Disney Company appears it is making a massive creative shift with their upcoming live action film Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler. The company released a first look at Rachel Zegler's Snow White alongside that the film would be delayed for an entire year. Let's get into this here. The Hollywood Reporter notes that Disney pushed back Snow White from its original release date of March 22, 2024 to March 21, 2025. The outlet alleges the delay is due to the ongoing SAG-AFTRA strike, but I think there are a lot more factors in play here than just the strike. Obviously, I do think that is in play, but I think there's a lot more at play as well. However, the Walt Disney Company released a first look at Rachel Zegler alongside what appears to be the Seven Dwarfs. Given the appearance of the dwarfs, it's possible the film will undergo significant reshoots once the strike is ended. And the Seven Dwarfs are key to all of this, as I plan to explain here. So the idea that the movie might undergo significant reshoots and thus might be the true reason for the delay is because the Daily Mail previously published images from the set of Snow White showing a number of actors that look nothing like the dwarfs in the first look image. You can see here these actors look nothing like those CGI dwarfs that they share in the first look. So why all of a sudden would they be taking live action actors and turning them into CGI dwarfs? Unless they were not like the using Occam's razor, the most obvious explanation is that they are completely changing the dwarfs in the movie. Not only did we get these images from the Daily Mail, but we had a bunch of back and forth confirming that these were indeed images from Snow White. So initially, a Disney spokesman told the Daily Beast that the images were not from the Snow White production. The spokesman said the photos are fake and not from our production. We are currently trying to have the Daily Mail issue a correction. The Daily Mail would update their story, but made it clear the photos were not fake and were indeed from Disney's production. They posted an update to their article. It said this article has been amended since initial publication to correctly identify the actress portraying Snow White as an extra who stood in for post-production photography. Disney confirmed that stand-ins were used for both Rachel Zegler and Andrew Burnap in these images. We are happy to clarify this point. Following the Daily Mail's update, a Disney spokesman informed The Independent the images that ran in the Daily Mail are not official film photos. These show stand-ins for some talent and do not feature Rachel Zegler or Andrew Burnett. However, it's hard to imagine that they were stand-ins for CGI dwarfs, given the fact there's literally nothing like how you would normally see the CGI characters. Like you would see like the dots on their face, the green suits, all of that stuff is not there in those photos from the Daily Mail. A Disney spokesman had also previously addressed criticisms levied at the film from actor Peter Dinklage. If you recall, Dinklage appeared on the WTF with Mark Maron podcast where he said, well, it's really progressive to cast a literally, no offense to anyone, but I was a little taken aback by they're very proud to cast a Latina actress as Snow White, but you're still telling the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So take a step back and look at what you're doing there. It makes no sense to me because you're progressive in one way, but you're still making that effing backward story of the Seven Dwarfs living in a cave. What the F are you doing, man? Have I done nothing to advance the cause for my soapbox? I guess I'm not loud enough. He then said, I don't know what studio that is, but they were so proud of that, and all love and respect to the actress and to the people who thought they were doing the right thing. But I'm just like, what are you doing? Later in the podcast, Dinklage added, if you tell the story of Snow White and it's the most effed up, cool, progressive spin on it, let's do it all in, but I just don't know. So a Disney spokesman actually responded to these comments from Dinklage, telling the Hollywood Reporter, to avoid reinforcing stereotypes from the original animated film, we are taking a different approach with these 7 characters and have been consulting with members of the dwarfism community. So the implication there was that they were not going to be really doing the 7 dwarfs as they are now showing in this first look image. The spokesman added, we look forward to sharing more as the film heads into production after a lengthy development period. You also had the Hollywood Reporter report alongside that statement that the film has been in development for 3 years. The studio has been reimagining the dwarf characters since the earliest stages. Obviously, that's based on the information that they received from the Walt Disney Company, but it looks like the reimagining is the dwarfs. They look like dwarfs now instead of completely reimagining them as they had seemingly implied. Not only have we had all of this drama with the dwarves, but alongside this, the whole reason why you had a lot of these comments from Rachel Zegler resurface, which are all from D23 back in September of last year, is because you had these set photos come out of the dwarfs and how absolutely awful they looked, and they didn't look anything like the dwarfs from the original classic animated movie. And so people dug up a bunch of comments that Rachel Zegler made at D23 in September, where she basically says here. She derides the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs animated film as dated. She disparages the prince as a stalker, and then also takes issue with the film's love story. Not only that, but she revealed the upcoming live action is changing the definition of fair. It appears to remove the entire moral lesson on vanity and will instead be some kind of story about Snow White's inner struggle and her desire to be a good leader. I'm not going to go through all of her comments. If you want to see them, I got them all here in the article, along with the videos where she actually says most of them. So that is there. And then on top of that, you had the Daily Wire actually released a teaser trailer of Brett Cooper playing Snow White in what they're doing for their own live action as part of their Bent Key Productions and Bent Key streaming service that the Daily Wire now provides as well. So there was a lot of heat coming on that. And then on top of all that, you have Nelson Peltz making moves as well. Peltz made a big proxy battle with the Walt Disney Company. One of the issues that he took issue with back in January, February was the creative direction that the Walt Disney Company was going. He believed that their creative engine was a major weakness for the company and they were not putting out their best product. We have a report from, or we had speculation from entertainment industry analyst Andre Einarr, the founder of the Midnight's Edge YouTube channel, basically saying that the reason why they scrapped the Daredevil Born Again stuff and publicly scrapped it was because Peltz was making a move again. And now we're seeing this come out almost like a week, 2 weeks later after the Daredevil Born Again stuff, where it looks like they are doing like a whole creative reboot almost for Snow White as well. And that's what we heard from Daredevil Born Again as well. So, and we know that Peltz, from a CNBC report, he has now tripled the amount of shares he owns in the Walt Disney Company from earlier this year. I think he owned 9 million earlier this year. Now he owns something like 30 million. And a CNBC report says that he is looking to gain multiple board seats instead of just the one previously. So that could be another factor too. And it looks like all of these things are kind of like converging together, whereas like Disney had to make some drastic changes for this film. And I don't know if these changes are going to actually work. I think there's so much bad press about it. Obviously, you're giving yourself 2 years to kind of distance yourself from the press. But irregardless of the bad press, you're still building up more costs. So if you're going to be doing this kind of creative reboot that I'm positing here, you're going to be increasing the costs substantially. So that means you're going to have to be making even more money at the box office to cover those costs. So we will see what happens, but it definitely looks like the Walt Disney Company and Snow White are making some huge, huge changes.
Subscribe for more.